Welcome, guys. Week 6 DFS. I cannot believe it's already week 6, guys. Going to dive into all the optimal plays here for DFS to help you with your daily fantasy sports lineups, for your DraftKings lineups, for your Fanduel lineups, whatever it is you play for DFS. This is the show that's going to help you guys, okay? Before we get into this, guys, manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. Save yourself 20%. Amazing product, fit and finish. Grab yourself a trimmer today. They've got ball wipes. They've got underwear. They got amazing products, guys. Manscaped.com. Holiday season will be here before we know it. Treat yourself. Manscaped.com. Promo code ShowerLion. Save yourself 20%. If you are new to the channel, make sure you guys click subscribe. All right, guys? Let's dive into this and let me know in the comments what you guys think of these optimal plays, who you guys are considering drafting in your DraftKings lineups, okay? Now, this is also going to help you a little bit with your starts and sits because you're going to know who the optimal plays are, okay? I do a starts and sits episode on Friday as well, so make sure you guys check that out. And if you're new, again, subscribe. We go year long. We talk football, everything football, breaking news, everything's covered right here. And let's get to the DFS show now. All right, so there is a bye week this week. 2 teams. We got Atlanta and the Saints, Jets and 49ers, all on bye this week. So there is going to be 14 games, including the Thursday nighter here for you guys. And it's going to be a good one. I like Jalen Hurts. He's been heating up. Again, you guys know I've got his sports card, so I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts this week. He's playing Tampa Bay. That should be a good one. Jalen Hurts does have a favorable matchup, so if you want to play him in DFS, go for it. He does, again, have a good matchup coming off 3 solid weeks, due for another big game. 24 points last week, 31 the week before, and 26 the week before that. So Jalen Hurts been red hot, okay? So I'm going to go over some other optimal players at quarterback you may want to consider. Again, when I am doing my DFS lineups, I like to anchor my team with a quarterback that I'm guaranteed those points, a guy that's been relatively consistent, okay? For example, Taylor Heineke, right? Best matchup versus position against KC, but he had a mediocre 12-point week last week, okay? Not the most consistent. Pat Mahomes, you're paying for him, $8,300. Second easiest matchup versus position versus Washington, but again, you're paying for him, and he had a 22-pointer last week. He's been consistent, though. You're going to get at least 20 points. You're going to have to pay the price. Kyler Murray, $7,900, cheaper than Mahomes. Great matchup this week, very optimal. Coming off a bad week last week, 14 points. Playing Cleveland this week, relatively easy matchup, should be good. If you want a value play, again, Taylor Heineke, Trevor Lawrence, great value. Matt Stafford, $6,700, great value, good matchup. Again, Jalen Hurts, $7,000, not bad. Josh Allen, you're going to pay $8,200, but again, he's got a good matchup, okay? Another value play for you guys. Not the easiest matchup, but it's just slightly above mid-range in regards to level of ease. Carson Wentz versus Houston, and he's only $5,400. So Carson Wentz is a guy you may want to consider grabbing if you want a quarterback, okay? Moving on to the running back. So again, running back, I like to anchor an ace running back that is going to get that volume. Joe Mixon has not been consistent. Just so you note this, he's $6,400, but he has not been consistent. 11 points last week, 14, 10 the week before. Not good, but he does have the easiest matchup theoretically on paper versus position. James Robinson, love him. He's been red hot. Got him on my year-long teams. Second easiest matchup versus position. I'm definitely trying to plug in James Robinson in my lineups this week. The guy runs hard. The guy runs good. Love James Robinson this week. Also, Najee Harris, easy matchup versus Seattle. Like him as well. Very consistent, but he's expensive. He's $7,400. Now the mainstream that can sheep us, all catching on to the fact that Najee is good, whereas us, Council Nation, we kind of saw it all along. Other great matchups. He's been red hot. Austin Eckler, good matchup versus Baltimore. But again, you're going to pay $7,900. Very expensive there, okay? Devonte Williams, who's starting to get more work, had 12 points last week. Not the most consistent, but great value as a second running back, $5,000. You may want to consider him. Darrell Williams coming in with the injured Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Helaire should be out for a few weeks. Darrell Williams, you may want to consider him. Only $4,900. He's going to get a ton of workload. Now, I think he was playing around 33% of the snaps with Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. That should definitely jump up. He's going to get more work, and he's only $4,900. Antonio Gibson coming off a good week of 21 points. Easy matchup versus KC as well. Him and J.D. McKissick. McKissick not looking good after that first week where he played, I think it was 4 weeks ago, he played really well. Has not really lived up to that hype since that big blowout game. It's kind of been the Antonio Gibson show, but again, there is a split timeshare there. Antonio should get a bulk of the work and give you a safe 15 to 20 points as a floor. And those are your easy matchups, okay? Jonathan Taylor has a mid-range matchup. And again, Friday, tune in for the starts and sits where I give you guys all of the tough matchups, optimal plays, and a little more detailed dive in, okay? Now this is where I play value, and it's at wide receiver, okay? So there is some guys you're going to have to pay hard for that have good matchups. So the guys that have optimal matchups, Stephon Diggs, but you're going to pay $7,400, okay? DK Metcalf, great matchup versus Pittsburgh. Now with him, you're going to have to pay $7,200 on DraftKings, not the cheapest, right? Devonte Smith, love his matchup this week. Value, $6,000. I love Devonte Smith. 16 points last week, 22 the week before. He's going to be safe and consistent and great matchup versus Tampa Bay. I'd like to plug Devonte Smith in my DFS lineups this week, okay? Other guys you may want to consider here that have good matchups. Laviska Shenault, great matchup this week versus Miami. Consider him, right? Him and Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones has just not looked good the past 3 weeks, okay? So you got to consider that. Maybe Laviska's going to get a little bit more work if you want to consider one of those guys. Tyreek Hill, $8,500. You're going to have to pay for it, but the matchup is great. He's been consistent. 15 points last week, 51 the week before. You can see the drop-off, 11 the week before that. A little bit of inconsistency, but if he gets hot, he could be a great DFS play to, basically separate you guys from the pack there, if he has a good week. But the matchup is favorable for Tyreek Hill this week. Deontay Johnson and Claypool, great matchup this week. They are playing Seattle, and they're decent value. They're not the cheapest. They're, $6,700 for Deontay on DraftKings. Chase Claypool, $6,600. Either one of these guys could have a huge game with Juju being gone. More volume going that way. James Robinson, $4,000, but I think he's banged up, so stay away from him. I'd rather go with either Deontay or Claypool, okay? Great matchups. Terry McLaurin, great matchup as well. Devontae Adams, great matchup. So some of these big names have great matchups this week. Devontae Adams playing Chicago secondary, coming off a 41-point week. So Devontae Adams also a great matchup. Now, let's talk about some value. Robbie Anderson, I'm getting a lot of heat for him, but listen, I did not tell you to draft Robbie Anderson in round 5, 6. He was around 7, 8, 9, 10 pick, okay? He was falling. DJ Moore was the 5th round pick, and DJ Moore had a bad week last week with 9 points. Robbie Anderson, great value, due for a breakout game, mid-range matchup, okay? I don't know if I'm starting him. I'd rather go with a guy like Kadarius Toney for $5,600 coming off a huge week. Kadarius Toney, again, $5,600, not bad. Amon-Ra St. Brown, only $4,200. Cephas is out. Amon-Ra having 14 points last week. He is a value play I'm plugging into DFS this week for great value. $4,200, a guy that could really have a breakout week with Cephas gone and being the primary target there. They don't have anybody else. Who do they have? Like, they don't have any wide receivers. He is the biggest name at wide receiver. Another good value play, Hunter Renfrow, if you want that safe wide receiver, 12 to 15 points, almost guaranteed. It's like money. Hunter Renfrow, okay? Hopkins, mid-range matchup, hasn't been the hottest lately, man. Had a safe week with 21 points last week. The weeks prior, not looking that good. They're spreading that ball around, okay? So those are some values there and the good matchups at wide receiver. Tight end, very simple, guys. I like to play the safest tight end, a tight end that's going to get me the volume and the work, okay? Kelsey, 18 points last week, 16 the week before, has not been looking good. Mid-range matchup, but you're going to pay $7,000. Mark Andrews coming off the game of his life, $5,200. Great value, great matchup for Mark Andrews yet against the Chargers. They play the tight ends a little bit softer. Noah Fant, value, $4,800. Great matchup. Higbee, great matchup. Gesicki, coming off an 8-point week last week, but does have a great matchup. $4,300, great value. Henry coming off a huge game. Well, not huge, but 20 points. Hunter Henry, $3,900. You may want to consider him. Zach Ertz, mediocre week last week, 2 points, $3,400 this week, and a great matchup. Great value if you want Zach Ertz, Hurts to Ertz, is it going to happen? We'll see. Jared Cook, 4-point game last week. Not the most exciting, but he does have a favorable matchup this week. Mo Alley Cox, a safe 8-point game last week. 19 the week before, does arguably have one of the easiest matchups versus position. Look for Mo Alley Cox to get another touchdown this week and give you some great daily fantasy relevance this week, okay? So those are your optimal plays, value plays at tight end. Now, let me give you guys a couple defenses here. You go back, listen to this again if you guys want to make some notes here. So Dolphins, I love the matchup versus Jacksonville this week, $3,300 on DraftKings. Jaguars versus Miami, either one of those, it could be a favorable matchup defensively for either one of them. Cowboys versus New England, love this matchup. We know Diggs has been on fire. one of the best corners now in the game, locking down receivers. So the Cowboys, great matchup versus New England, very favorable, $3,200. Bills versus Tennessee, good matchup. Colts versus Houston, Bengals versus Detroit, and Packers versus Chicago. Now, you may want to consider Lions versus Cincy, but you never know. Burrow's been pretty good. I believe he's banged up, but he should be back in. Check the status of Burrow before the game starts. And those are your DFS optimal plays at each position and value plays. Now, if you play DFS, again, my strategy to you guys is to have those solid players, those quarterbacks, those running backs that are guaranteed the points, and then you could take some risks at the wide receiver position, maybe even at the tight end position, and you really need that inflation and those boom type players. So again, a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown could have a boom game. A guy like Deontay with Juju out could have a boom game. You got to look for those opportunities when they're there. Okay, guys? That's it, guys. DFS, go dominate your DraftKings lineup. Again, tune in tomorrow for a preview show. And then Friday, we've got our starts and sits show. Okay, if you're brand new, make sure you guys do subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I'm out, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week.